I said, did I do something that made you not love me anymore? That I understand why they wanted you maybe to not be with me at first, but again, it took a lot of years of me to process this and really understand it. I'm not upset with them. I would never be.
Like sometimes, like all you grew up knowing is it's bad to be selfish, but sometimes when it's about your life, you have to be selfish. The text that I sent right back is like, Hallie, no, I cared so much. I mentioned you to my parents. Like, what?
I love you, but you have to pick. And I know that you won't ever pick me first. Oh, God. We were already going down the path of breaking up, and I was realizing it. I was seeing the signs. He was kind of withdrawing. We weren't spending as much time together. He wasn't really there when we were hanging out. Like,
I wanted all the perks of being with you without having to be with you.
Emotional damage.
I'm honestly gonna just say it. I don't know if I can make it through this whole episode right now.
Happy 100 Half Past Crew. Woo! Whew. This week, we're getting very personal, arguably way too personal, and we're sharing the conversations that ultimately ended our relationship. And because we never do anything halfway, we're going to be reading all of those text messages from 2016 and reading some of the DMs because this resonated with a lot of people. We know that relationships come with unique challenges, and sometimes the hardest conversations are the ones that can bring you closest together. So we hope by sharing what we share today that we encourage you to open up and talk about hard things in your relationship. So for the 100th time, let's get into it, Half Past Crew.
Welcome to
Half Past Cha.
Guys, welcome back to another episode, not just any episode, but the 100th episode of Half Past Cha. You guys already know this. We drink cha and then we spill it, all right? My name is Saketu.
My name is Hallie.
And we are an interracial married couple, and that is what we talk about on this page. We talk about being a racial couple, relationships in general, and then we get questions from you because you guys go to www.halfpastcha.com where you submit your own questions and stories. New episodes come out every Monday at 7 a.m. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you need to give us 5 stars because that helps that rating go up and up and up. And then follow the podcast so that when we do post at 7 a.m., you are notified. Thank you so much for joining us this fantastic Monday morning. So settle in, get cozy, and grab your cha.
I'm nervous, okay, too. I don't know if I can do this. It's crazy.
I'm very nervous for this episode, but look, we posted a message that Hallie sent me
in 2016.
And I think it got over like 15,000 views on her Instagram story. And I was like, why is this happening? A ton of people shared this specific message to whoever they're sharing it with. And I'm guessing that this resonated with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And we also got a lot of DMs from you guys saying, hey, I'm going through this exact this issue in my relationship. What did he say back? Like, you really wanted to know how this whole thing played out. And so this is what that episode is really going to cover. It's going to expose everything. And it's going to be very scary for us. But I know it'll help people in this situation who are kind of going through something similar, where you're kind of about to break up, or you're feeling like it's happening, or you don't feel like you have any control over the relationship because it's an external force, like maybe the parents, or maybe
they're just not in love with me anymore.
Or you feel that way, or it's a long distance relationship, or all these different factors. And so we want to kind of do the thing you're not supposed to do and relive the past.
Oh, and we were collecting these text messages. Why do we have them from 9 years ago? Great question. I guess when I got rid of that phone forever, I took screenshots. You took screenshots. We both took them. I don't know, but we had them. And we were like, oh my gosh, we have to make an episode about this because I feel like this is so relatable. Because can we all just agree that going through a breakup is the worst thing ever because of the reasons that you said? A lot of times, if you're the one being broken up with, it's out of your control. Maybe it's a mutual breakup. That's just as painful. It's never going to be easy not being in love with the person that you were once so madly in love with. I don't know how else to put it other than it's just straight up painful.
So the message that Hallie posted on Instagram, I just want to start with that, and then we'll go into it a little bit. Okay. Do you eventually want to be with me again? Because if not, I'll stop wasting your time now.
Ooh.
Hallie sent that to me. And so I had a heart attack at the time. Definitely had a heart attack. Because I thought everything was going well.
Did you?
I thought like we were, in a little friendship at the time.
As we were dating?
No, we already broke up at this point. Do you eventually want to be with me again?
Okay.
So this is like that one that triggered all the different conversations that you guys have been asking us about.
So we did a breakup episode quite some time ago when we first started this podcast, but we're not going into the depth that we're going into today. So basically, just to sum it up really quick, we'd been dating for almost a year. And Suketu is a year older than me. He was going to college. I was still in high school. And we broke up for a few different reasons, which we have discussed on this platform, I think. And our situation was unique. Kind of, not really. We were very in love, we still are. However, we didn't know if we wanted to continue our relationship, if we were broken up for good, if somehow we would be friends. Like, we had no idea. It was just this limbo stage, okay? So that is why I sent that text. That very ominous, scary text. And to hear you now say you think you'd broken up with me and things were good.
Well, listen, I thought it was good because now I didn't have the pressure of my parents kind of on the back of my head, right? And so it's like I wanted all the perks of being with you without having to be with you. Does that make sense?
I don't know if that's more stupid or hurtful. You just said
it's
that.
Very stupid. I agree.
That hurts my feelings.
I think that's super stupid, but I think a lot of guys will think this because they're like, how do we make everyone happy? And that is where they go wrong. Newsflash, you can't make everybody happy. Mm-hmm. So if you want to make yourself happy, make sure you go with your gut.
Do you think do you think that some guys think that they can just break up and go back to normal and be like, oh, we'll be friends?
Yeah, I think a lot of guys think that. I think a lot of guys think about the other thing, which is like a, what is it called? Friends with benefits. Like that is what they're thinking about too.
That's not a good place to be.
Not a good place to be. I guess I want to talk about like what our mindsets were like at that point. What I remember was I had in the back of my head that we needed to break up.
Okay.
During this period of time. This is 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we needed to break up was what's in my head. And then I could feel it from you that you were doing everything in your power to make sure that that wouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the hardest thing. So I couldn't do it. I literally could not break up with you. So I think I would do things to make you want to break up with me. Did I?
Which is arguably even worse. I feel like
so
because we were already going down the path of breaking up, and I was realizing it. I was seeing the signs. He was kind of withdrawing. We weren't spending as much time together. He wasn't really there when we were hanging out. Like, we didn't have the deep conversations we used to. And you just know when you're in a relationship with somebody and you know them well enough, you know when things are off. And I started to sense that things were off for about 3 months prior to us breaking up. So it was just a 3-month downward spiral, which made Hallie a little crazy and sad and not know what's going on. It was a very hard time because we were breaking up again for reasons that really, we were in love with each other. I mean, confirm, like, it wasn't because we didn't love each other, even though you did tell me you didn't love me anymore.
I said, I did things to make you want to break up with me. So I said that, and it hurts my heart right now, but I'm honestly going to just say it. I don't know if I can make it through this whole episode right now because I'm looking at the text and it's like so hard to read the text. So we're going to try our best. I want Hallie to start with the one that kind of led to the breakup. And then I have every text of the first thing I said 4 days after we had broken up.
That was the longest we'd gone without talking, by the way, 4 days.
And we didn't let our Snapchat streak die.
No. So. Oh my God. When we would Snapchat each other, it would be like pictures of the wall, pictures of like my dog. Oh my
or like
God.
tear coming down.
No, I don't
That
think I
was-
showed
I
you.
think I did that.
Oh, wow.
I like grew a beard in 4 days.
You did. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me this will be fun. In these texts later we talk about, oh, like, are you going to be at this place on Saturday? Like, yeah, I'll be there. I'm like, okay, I'll see you there. And that I'd never seen this man with a beard ever in our relationship. Like, you'd never had one. Turns out you're really good at growing a beard, and it happened very easily for you. So that's a good sign. You have good hair genetics.
That's good.
However, when I saw him for the first time, like a week after we broke up, you looked like kind of homeless.
I did. I was not taking care of myself.
In 1 week, everybody, he grew a full beard.
It was
His hair was like all messy. He looked. I mean,
was bad.
I'm not saying I looked perfect. I looked not great either. We both were not in a great place. But your facial hair just, I mean, it was really funny to me. Yeah. So with that, you want me to share the one, like the long text? This
Yeah.
was so long.
You don't have to read the whole thing, guys.
Also,
We're gonna expose everything, but there's some things that we just cannot say on the internet.
And it's too painful. And I just want to go back to what you said earlier. This is really painful, but we think that people can benefit from this pain a little bit, to know that you're not alone, and people go through breakups, and we handled it one way, and maybe you can take something from it and learn how to handle it a different way, or whatever you get from this. We hope that it is beneficial for you in some way or comforting. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this is not easy for me to read. I'm gonna try and make it through too. And I know this was almost 10 years ago, but it still just hurts. You know, like we're in a very good place, but it's hard.
It does. So Hallie's gonna read this, and then right after she reads it, we're going to look at something I wrote on Tumblr right after. Okay, so go ahead and read it, Hallie.
The Tumblr days. So it looks like this, everybody. Okay, look. I've been thinking a lot today, and I'm sick of being miserable. I love you, but I can't keep doing this anymore. We need a break. This is hurting me so much, and it's killing me right now. I don't want to say this at all, believe me, but I have to. Since you won't, I feel like I should. For a long time, you've been hinting at me to end this because it hurts you too much. It hurts me so much more than you'll ever know, but we can't keep living like this. We've been on an emotional roller coaster for a long time, and I can't keep crying and getting happy again and then crying some more. You said it yourself, we're really not even dating anymore. Oh, God, that hurts. Okay. All the things you said last night hurt me so much, and I can't believe you could even say those things when I believe that you love me. I want to stay friends. I'm gonna need to figure out things for myself too. I've definitely put you first for a long time, and honestly, that destroyed a lot of relationships with my best friends. Yikes. I want to have fun again. I don't know if this is gonna work. We're still gonna want to text each other and Snapchat and call. And I don't know what I'm doing, but I want to be happy. I haven't been happy for a long time, and quite frankly, you've wasted my time ever since the first time that something like this happened. I can't be your third priority over school and your family. I love you, but you have to pick. And I know that you won't ever pick me first. Oh, God. So K2, I love you. I will always care about you, but this just hurts me too much at this point, and I can't do it anymore. I told myself I'd wait to do this, but now that it's come up, I just can't. I want to hug you so bad and think that everything will be okay, but it won't be. I want to talk to you and hang out with you eventually, but right now we just both need to settle down and focus on other things. I can't even go a day without talking to you, so I don't know what's going to happen. I just want to be friends. Maybe in a few years, if things were to work out again and you pick me first, I would love that. But I don't see a future for us either.
Oh my God. That oh guys, I'm sweating so hard right now.
That hurts so bad.
This is like peak. I don't know. I can't even process that. The fact that I remember the moment that text was sent. I remember feeling like, okay, well, this is it. This is happening. And I think we called right after that. I think we got on a phone call.
Yeah.
No,
here's what happened. I FaceTimed you and you wouldn't show me your face.
Yeah, because I was crying.
Do you remember that? But you wouldn't show me that you were crying.
And so
we were in a dark room. It was so weird. Oh my gosh.
I knew this was going to happen. And in my head, I thought this is good. This is good for us. This is good for not just me, but it'll be good for Hallie. Then she can be with whoever she wants to be that treats her right. And then for me, I can make my parents happy. And that's what I thought what I was doing was right. Okay. So that was all going through my head. So I was really starting to like process it. All right. And so now I was like, okay, this is happening. And I went through a very dark moment that night. It was really hard.
It was like midnight too.
And then we woke up. I woke up the next, I still remember. Oh my God. I remember this. I woke up the next day, no text from you. Like every day we would text good morning to each other. So no text from you and no contact. Okay. So then we Snapchat, one Snapchat a day. It's just Hallie's ceiling fan or something. And then the next day, it's your ceiling fan again, but it's a school day. So I was like, what's happening? Like, why is she not at school? And so then I was like, okay, what? That's weird. So I Snapchat her back. No conversation still, no text. And then it continues on for another 2 days after that. And then I text Hallie. I was like, I gotta text her. And so I text Hallie.
So for context, we broke up Sunday night and he texted me on Thursday evening.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I text Hallie and I said, "Hello," like Heylo, like hello what? And hey at the same time, like
haha.
And Hallie texts back, "Hi, Sakatu," and I was like drafting up this huge text, and it was taking me a while, maybe like 30 minutes to draft it up. Right?
Yeah.
And so Hallie, in between that, sends a question mark, like, "Why are you messaging me?" Right?
Wait, before we get into this, do you want to share during those 4 days that we were both posting crazy amounts on Tumblr?
Yes.
I would repost all this depressing shit, and so would Suke too, and we'd be like, life has no meaning without you, and like we wouldn't say it was towards each other, but I would constantly check like what you liked, because you could see like what people, and I don't know if Tumblr is still a thing, but it was very much a thing.
Yeah.
Because during our relationship, we would send like cute little memes to each other, like sweet little things. Because if you guys are on Tumblr back in 2015, 2014, 2016, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. But we would always send stuff like that to each other during our relationship. And when we broke up,
it would just be depressing memes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So what did I say?
And keep in mind your profile picture is still a picture. Do you see that? You know which picture that is?
Aww, of me and you.
Yeah, you kept it. It was both of our feet with his longboard in between because he was such a skater boy. You are a very good skater boy. But I will read this. This is what Suketu posted on August 31st of 2016. Oh my gosh. I let go of the only person that really cares about me. I'm seriously lost. You're the only person I really enjoyed talking to every day and seeing once in a while. I can't talk to anyone because you're the only person I could do that with. Don't respond back because I know you don't want to talk to me. I just need to let it out before I go crazy.
All right. What was that? August 31st?
Yeah, so it was like 2 days after we broke up.
Okay. Golly. Now, you guys know what I was going through. And then I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. So I texted Hallie. Hello. All right, we're back to where we were. And then I text Hallie. I was like, Hallie, I know you don't want to talk to me. I was like, why do I always say that? Like, oh, I know that. What? How do I know?
I don't know. You were hurting too, so I think it's just fair to say that we both said some out of pocket stuff. So just keep that in mind, everybody.
Literally breaking down, not being able to talk to you. I can't imagine what you're feeling. Every second you've been in my head. Oh, and the amount of times I ask myself why is crazy. I'm never moving on. I don't know what I'm saying. I guess I just want to talk. How are you? You don't have to respond if you don't want to. So that's what I said. And it sucked because I knew this was a bad idea to text, but I had to do it because I was like, who else am I supposed to text about this? And in this moment, I think this is like when I truly realized what I did. It's like our relationship was perfect. Like there was nothing wrong in our relationship at all. Everything was smooth sailing. I loved Hallie. Hallie loved me. And there was no issues with that. Okay? There was like, we didn't have any complex problems. We didn't really fight about anything. And so when I realized that the only issue was an external factor that I didn't have to listen to all the time, started to open my eyes a ton. And I was like, if this is my, like, I remember like, what is it? An 18-year-old? Was I 18 or 19? I think I was 19. I remember I was like, what? Why at night? Why am I letting my whole life be dictated by this situation? I just couldn't handle it, right? And so that's the text that I sent after realizing all of these.
So again, for a little more context, you were 19 and I was 17 going through this. And so next, I will read what I responded back. I've wanted to talk to you too. I was just getting on my phone to text you and saw that you texted me before I got the chance to. Wow. So I was going to reach out too. See, we couldn't go. I just had, I don't know. I wanted to say hi too. I wanted to reach out. I wanted to do something. I wanted to have some kind of contact because it'd been 4 days since we talked to each other at all, besides the very ominous Snapchat pics, which were not of us at all. But it was not a real conversation. And I think I was just lacking that. And there were so many things left unsaid. I needed closure. And so I really just wanted to reach out and talk. Honestly, I've never been so hurt in my entire life. The things you said to me, quote, I don't want a relationship. I don't love you as much as you love me. If I don't see a future, why are we wasting time? It's okay too. You don't understand how much that hurts a person. That's the meanest thing I think I've ever heard. And I've never felt so sad in my whole life. Oh my God. I lost 6 pounds in 3 days because I was too sick to my stomach to eat. My parents have been making me get out of my room to go outside. I cried myself to sleep every night. Oh my God. This is some dark shit. I cried myself to sleep every night for 4 days. I couldn't even have a normal conversation with anyone without sobbing. I was so hurt. I feel like I never wanted to talk to you again, but I've wanted to talk about things as well. And I've been feeling this pain for about a month now when I thought you were going to break up with me then. But it did hurt so much more this time. I've been feeling this way for a while now and just hurt. How does that feel?
Pretty bad. I remember seeing that and I literally broke down. I was like, I have to see her. And so I remember that day we saw each other. Or was it the day after?
We saw each other
that Saturday
because it was a cross country meet at our high school. Okay. Of course. So perfect place for us to meet up.
We started talking after this and I was trying to explain. I was such a gaslighter. I was like making up stuff that like definitely like did not matter in that situation.
Like in these texts?
No, I wasn't making up stuff. I was like saying things that had nothing to do with what you just said. Like, Hallie, no, I cared so much. Then why would I say those things? Like, you know what I mean? Like the set text that I sent right back is like, Hallie, no, I cared so much. I mentioned you to my parents. Like, what? Why didn't I say this before we broke up? Like, come on. Anyways.
Yeah, like I didn't even know that. You just told, I guess you told me maybe that like that didn't happen. I don't really remember.
It did happen, but it ended really badly, and that's why the whole situation happened. Anyways.
Well, but then, so as I was reading these and kind of looking into them, I remember you had said, I'm a month or a month and a half ago, I said this, and that's when things started to go downhill. So it made sense. The math was mathing in my brain.
It was mathing. And then we started talking about some of the issues that we ran into, whether it be with my parents. That's about it. And so we went into the conversation, and I think what it led to was me realizing that I need to make my own decisions. And I let Hallie know that I needed to make my own decisions, but I still think I had hurt Hallie so bad that wasn't going to convince her just yet. And it didn't. Oh my God, it did not. It took like a full year almost to make her convinced that I knew what I did was wrong.
Well, not even that. I think it just takes somebody a long time to recover from anything that hurtful that somebody has said to them. I wasn't holding on to a grudge that, I'm so mad at you. You're so wrong. Everything that you did is wrong. Blah, blah, blah. Like I wasn't feeling that. And I still don't believe that you were in the wrong. It's taken a lot of years to understand now why the situation happened. And I hate to say it, but I'm glad that it did, because it really did change things in our relationship. We both learned a lot from it, and we were able to form a stronger relationship because of it. And I hate saying this too, but I think because of the horrible things that we were both saying to each other, that like I used to be afraid to have conversations with you, to be real with you, to tell you how I felt about things. I would just bottle it up and not talk about it. Yeah. And that's way more damaging than talking about it and just getting it off your chest. Yeah. And so the whole breakup taught me that it's okay to have conversations. What's the word? I mean, what? We're getting back together. Are we going to break up again? I don't know. I mean, that's kind of the risk you take. It's way better putting yourself out there and saying what you need to say and telling the person how you feel about things as opposed to not saying those things. So I think this really kind of opened it up for us to have harder conversations. And I've had people say, "Oh, I don't know how you guys have those conversations. I really appreciate it though. I wasn't able to do this with my past significant other, and that ultimately led to us breaking up." But we've learned so much from it. And I feel like we've been through so much because of that, because we've been able to learn from each other and really tell each other what we think about things.
I think from this breakup, before we move on to some of the conversations that we had, this is what I got out of it. I understood that the decisions I make have to be my own, and it can't be influenced by others. That's a big thing that completely changed my perspective of not just the relationship, but my life. Like what I want to do, what makes me happy, how am I supposed to live? Like sometimes like all you grow up knowing is it's bad to be selfish, but sometimes when it's about your life, you have to be selfish. You have to like take what you want, whether it be that person you love or the thing you really want to do in life. You have to be selfish.
Mhm.
And I think I really learned that. And I think for Hallie, I'm speaking for her right now, but Hallie really started to become confident. She didn't let anybody walk over her.
Well,
I think,
specifically you,
well,
because
specifically me, man, I felt like I was walking over her, right? Was I walking over you in a way?
I
For
think I
that
was
month.
just so I just wanted to be perfect so bad and
Yeah.
not disagree with things because I thought it would make the relationship last.
And that's not good.
No,
That's
and
really
that's
bad.
actually really sad to hear out loud. And I also want to say something too is that a lot of the theme or trend in our podcast is, oh, your parents don't define your happiness. I'm not trying to bash anybody's parents in any way. I promise. I understand your parents because that's their frame of reference, right?
Yeah.
I understand why they wanted you maybe to not be with me at first, but again, it took a lot of years of me to process this and really understand it. I'm not upset with them. I would never be. I yeah, I just hate thinking that people might take this as, "Oh, well, Hallie, you hate K2's parents." No, I love my parents. I
And
love my in-laws. They're incredible and I would never blame them for this.
even in the text, you can see that Hallie really sees like me saying that, hey, this is your decision. You made this. You said the things you said, right? It's tough because you're 100% right. Like it is the actions that you do are your own, and there's nobody who can make you say or do anything. I 100% agree with Hallie. When it comes to people who come to America and they live here for the first time, it's not like you're just going to adapt to the culture like with a snap of your fingers and boom, you're supposed to be an American with American values and do exactly what the American lifestyle is. It just doesn't work that way. And so if you've lived in a different country for 40 years, that is your perspective. Like that's all you know. And so if you start to go a different direction, the people who have grown up in the other countries, like they just don't understand fully what you're doing. And so that's kind of the frame of reference you have to go by. And the best thing you can do is educate. That's the only thing you can do. And education, guess what? We go through a lot of education to get to where we are at the end of our lives. And so I think you have to give it time.
I do absolutely agree. And again, back with the frame of reference, your parents came here. They'd been living in India their entire lives. And I understand if they could think that, oh, somebody maybe outside our culture, they won't celebrate him or, love our culture as much as somebody who comes from it. And I understand that point completely because, again, moving here, I truly cannot imagine how scary it must have been to come here in your 40s and not know anybody. You don't know people. You don't know what their intentions are. You want the best for your children. I don't have them, but I can imagine, obviously, you love them with your whole heart and you want the best for them and you want them to make the right decisions. And it took me a long time to understand that, but I see it so clearly, and that they just wanted the best for you, and they weren't trying to ever be cruel or I get it. What I'm trying to say is that I understand them, and I just don't blame them for anything.
Well, after all of these conversations, I really want to go through. You guys now know what ended it, right? The text that Hallie read at the beginning, that is what ended the conversation, that FaceTime call. That was it. It was over. And then we started to go in through some of these texts. Is there anything else you want to read? Because I have some things that we can go into, some of the other conversations that were really difficult for us.
There are a few more that I think might be valuable to anybody going through a breakup. And I'll just start by reading what I said, as this is still part of that very long conversation we had. You thought I'd always be there, and for a long time I felt like you took me and everything about us for granted, and I felt no love from you. You said I didn't show you a thing, and I was the worst, yet you continued to show me how much you loved me. Now that I've done nothing but think about you, I see that. But now I'm thinking I'm too late and that you hate me. I've hurt you too much, and I don't know what I can do to fix it, and I don't think you want to see me try. I said, I tried so hard to make you love me back, but the fact is, you just can't make someone love you. You just can't. It never works out, and I want to fix this. Just like I wanted to fix things a month ago, but you didn't care, didn't want to try. Do you know how much that hurts?
Well, that is pretty tough to hear. I don't know. I just can't believe that I mean, the fact that you like would not let me go shows like how much confidence you built in those 4 days. Like you wanted to have these conversations now.
Yes, I was mad.
Like you weren't about the whole, oh, let's just let these things go. No, you were going to bring up everything and you were going to talk about it.
I feel like it had to be talked about. I had no closure. Did you?
Nope.
So don't you think that it was necessary?
I'm so glad you did. So I was like, this was new to me. I was like, oh my God. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I remember my hands were so sweaty. My pits were sweaty. Like they are right now. My feet are super sweaty right now. And so it's just like, I remember seeing these texts and I was like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now.
Do you want me to read you one more text?
One more. That's it. I'm done. I can't.
So I said I was constantly trying to show you how much I love you and you never noticed, and it killed me inside, trying to get the attention of the man that I love. I shouldn't have had to do that and to get your attention like that. And you said, I noticed, Hallie. I should have given you more love than ever, but I decided to do the opposite. I did you wrong. And I said, you have to know that I would never do or say the things that you did to me, to you. I could never hurt you like that. I didn't even know who you were for a long time because you weren't acting like yourself. And then you said, I don't know what happened, Hallie. You're too sweet for anyone to do that to. Why did I do this? Never forgive me because I'm the worst person ever. That's not true. That's not true.
But like, this is just what people say and do when you're going through a situation like that. You just feel like the worst person in the world, and because you don't see these things before it's too late. Like you just don't. And so when I started to really understand what was happening, I just could not get that out of my head.
So then to follow up, you said, even though we are talking about the saddest thing right now, just talking to you is making my day, and I don't want that to go away. And I said, did I do something that made you not love me anymore? That hits deep, everybody.
The thing is, these kinds of traumas just don't disappear. You know, like they don't just like go away. Like you reading this brings that exact moment in my memory back.
I know. It's kind of crazy how much this is just taking me back right now to all of that.
It's not, and the sad thing is that this is the reality for so many people. So the conversations we had after this were a lot to do with how can we make sure this doesn't happen again? Like Hallie really wanted to make sure that if we're going to go into this relationship again, then she wants me to give her the clarification of what steps I'm going to take to make sure that we don't break up. We go through the right steps of talking to my parents, talking to different people to make sure that this never happens again. And not just that, but like talking about religion is something we talked about. We talked about kids. We talked about what's going to happen during college and all of these things. Like I remember Hallie was applying to a lot of different colleges at the time. And so we ended up going to the same college, which was great.
We did.
And that really did help our relationship, I think, just because we'd be able to carpool together if we wanted. We got to have lunch together when we were able. Our classes didn't overlap. But I think the conversations that we had to have were plentiful. We just had to really talk about some of the serious things that went on, and Hallie let nothing go.
I will end the sums of the conversations with this because I was just going through again and kind of looking at them. The last text that I'll read from Yusuke2 is, I really did feel the same, Hallie. I just don't know why I didn't show it. I wish I could have gotten my head cleared. I wish I took you to IUPUI instead of Panera that day and talked everything out instead of keeping it in my head. I just wish, So you wish that you would have talked to me and been more honest about it.
Yep.
Because we weren't really having these conversations. I think I was like, no, tell me why. Tell me, like, what's happening?
I think during those texts, I think what I was trying to do is like, okay, we talked about it. Let's move on now. And you would not let me move on.
Because I was like, I'm not getting anything. Let's talk about this.
That's what I was like. I was the guy who wanted to talk about things. And then when it turned to me being the kind of person who was like, let's just move on from this. And Hallie was the one kind of saying, let's talk. We're going to talk till we figure this out, was very new to me.
Do you prefer it that way?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, I was just asking. I didn't know if now thinking back on it, if you preferred it to be that way or if you would have been like, no, it's good. It's good. Because some people do that. And that I don't really understand that logic because A, you're not really learning anything about the other person from that kind of conversation. And B, how do you move on in a healthy way from that? Like so fast forward to a couple days later when we saw each other, we saw each other at the cross country meet. Oh my gosh. He came up to me and hugged me, guys. What a weird, I wasn't prepared. I remember there were some guys and they were like, hey, because they knew, like our closest friends knew. And they were like, hey, Suketu's here. And I was like, oh my God, I have to see him. Like, I can't avoid him here. I don't know how to, like, when you first see somebody after something really uncomfortable or like after you break up, for example, oh my God, it's like the worst. Oh, it's the worst. It's the breakup is the worst. And this is like the second worst thing that can happen is that you see them and then you don't know how to act. You don't know what to say. It just feels weird. I remember we hugged and it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like a safe, warm hug. It felt like a cold, bitter, dark place to be. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry too.
It wasn't easy. Okay, we went through the text. I hope you guys got something from it besides us being sad. It was not easy. So then I want to go to you guys. You guys replied back to this message, the first message saying, I'm going through the same situation. Please let me know who initiated it, who initiated the end for the relationship.
I mean, it was like mostly you because you just said that you were doing things to kind of push it forward a little bit, but then ultimately I'm the one that cut off the communication for 4 days. I mean, not even really. You can kind of say we cut off communication. We weren't like actually saying things, to each other. But I don't know. I would say if you had to give a percentage, who was more? Was it me or you? that ended it?
I was the one who was indirectly ending it. You were the first person to be like, it's over. And that killed me. Like, why would it kill me? I'm the one. I'm the one who made it happen. But Hallie had the balls to actually end it. Does that make me a coward? Does that make me a coward?
No, I don't think so. Because I think that, and you could go back 9 years and ask both of us. We were so in love with each other, and we just didn't know how to handle a tough situation presented to us. So it was a new situation. We didn't know what to do. We just knew that we wanted to be with each other, but we didn't know that we could make it work. And so I don't think you were a coward at all. I think you were just in love and you were confused and you didn't know what to do. But I knew in my head how I felt about things, and I knew that I couldn't keep dealing with the uncertainty of our relationship, because that is alone is enough to make somebody go a little crazy and just feel so I just felt sick to my stomach all the time because I didn't know what we were.
It was not a fun time. And just so you guys know, we went through about 8 months of this, and then we got together again.
Yeah.
And it was not easy.
Yeah. Nope.
We can talk about this another time, but there were things that happened within that period of time. There should be an episode. What happened after we broke up? That's a story to tell, guys. I mean, like that is a lot.
It's a
And
lot
I
to
have a
break up.
lot to say about it, okay? I have a lot to say about it, and I'll keep it there.
Okay, it's nothing crazy, everyone.
Oh,
However,
no, it is, and I'll keep it there. We're not talking about it. It's over.
we're putting a pin in it.
We're going to read another message over here, okay? And this is a very... I just didn't expect these situations to happen because they are both Indian. So I'm like, how does this happen if they're both Indian? But there's a certain thing that happens. Okay, let me just read it. What advice do you have for this? My boyfriend and I are both Indian, but he's Gujarati and I'm South Indian. It's like pretty much the same thing, but his parents are against us dating because I am not Gujarati. I fit all other criterias that they have for him, which makes it even more frustrating. He recently told his dad that we are dating and it did not go well. Mind you, we have been dating for 5 years at this point. He is trying really hard to convince them for us to be together. At least as of right now, they are not budging. This is all wearing him out mentally and to the point where he would want to avoid talking about all of this. My boyfriend keeps telling me that they will come through eventually and will like me. On my end of things, after graduation of my master's, my parents are pushing me to get married to someone, and they are worried that this will stay stagnant and I will be unhappy. So I feel stuck and don't know what to do. I don't want to end things, but if things aren't moving forward, I feel like I have to. I tend to plan for the worst. Mentally, I'm planning for this breakup, and my mind keeps trying to think of reasons to not like him, which is making this so hard. So it feels, okay, this question to me, when I read this, when it first came in, I was like, this feels like me. Like I came up with every reason to not like you, to make it okay to like break up with you. And I literally couldn't come up with anything, by the way. All right. I couldn't come up with anything. So me hearing this makes it feel like if you're trying to force yourself not to like this guy, there's something there. And it's so hard when the parents don't give you approval. And I want to give Hallie the question now because Hallie didn't get the full approval of the parents. So how did you handle it? Did it hurt? What happened?
I did not handle it well. I didn't know what to do. And I think also part of it is that I was so young. And it is interesting, this question, because this person is South Indian. I'm very white, as we all know. And
at least you're not white.
Yeah. I mean, technically, maybe his parents will budge a little bit more because at least you're still Indian. You're very familiar with all the cultural aspects. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, it's a bit different because I knew next to nothing about Indian culture going into our relationship. And I learned all of it from you and being around your family, which was amazing. So it is interesting to me, one, that because these people are both from India, that the parents are not cool with it. So that's something that I don't understand. Maybe you can get into that a little bit. But for me, specifically, it hurt just because I didn't understand it. And I think that's where the source of my pain mainly was because I didn't understand what was happening. I thought because we loved each other enough that we could fix it. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes that's not true if the other person doesn't feel the same way.
Yeah, I think my perspective of this is that it just doesn't. I can see that this would make me go crazy because it's like you meet all the criteria, right? Like you are the best person for him. And so the fact the parents don't see it, it's a parent issue. Like it's not his issue. It's not your issue. So whose issue is it at that point? It has nothing to, like for me, it feels like there is this barrier for this guy who thinks that he needs this, or maybe you need this. Like, I think that this is something that you guys can move past. because at the end of the day, it is your life. It is your ability to be with this person. It is not the parents' responsibility to put you to make sure you two are not together or together. Does that make sense?
To answer the question still that you asked me a little bit earlier pertaining to this, it would just make me want to talk to the parents so bad. Like, hey, can we sit down and have a conversation and I can tell you and show you how much I love your son, and let's get to the root of why you don't feel like this relationship is good. Like, why don't you feel this way? Why don't you support our relationship if we love each other? And I'm Indian as well. Why can we not make it work? I think that would be one, like, that would just kill me. I'd want to talk to the parents so bad. So maybe that could happen. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it'd be great to talk to them. I think number one, you need to understand their perspective, understand your boyfriend's perspective, put yourself in his shoes kind of, because I know it's hard to do. I know it's so hard to do. It just doesn't make sense sometimes. And so try and put yourself in their situation. Number two, patience. Try and be patient. I know you've already spent 5 years with him, and so it's like really hard to be even more patient than you already have been. But know that this is the last thing I have to say is know your happiness. If you think this is going to stay stagnant, if you think that this isn't going to change,
after you talk to the parents, maybe after you talk to your boyfriend,
after you kind of go through some of those steps, then make that decision of like, okay, it's time to move on. I have my own life to live. We gotta get this ball rolling, right? And so just that's my advice.
Yeah, I think it's worth it to assess after you have these hard conversations. And it's not an easy road ahead because you will have to have some really challenging conversations to really get to the base of the problem. But then, yeah, like Suketi said, I completely agree, is you need to assess, because of all the stuff that you've already gone through with this issue, do you want to keep pursuing it? Maybe they agree that you're a good fit for the family. Maybe they don't. Then that's time for you to make that decision of if you want this, you want to take some years and, if for it to be kind of rocky and kind of get your footing, or if you just want a clean break and be like, you know what, I'm going to marry somebody else because this just is not working for me.
So thank you for submitting your questions. If you want to submit your own question, go to www.halfpastshot.com. What I want to end with, Hallie, is rebuilding after a breakup. The things that we did, we learned to communicate with each other.
We did.
We had to build our trust back up, and that was not easy.
That was the hardest part.
I think the best way to build that trust is to constantly communicate your love for each other, do things that make you feel comfortable, show reassurance in your own relationship. But that is some things that we did.
Yeah, it took me a while to, I think, be fully trusting in our relationship again, because for a while we'd been in a downward spiral of things just not being good or right, or I like Suketu lying to me, or it took us both a really long time. So what were some ways that you showed me that I can trust you, or vice versa?
I think the things that I did was that, number one, I really was a lot more transparent with you in terms of showing you what my parents had to say. I would bring you to events. I think that was the big one of like, hey, this is serious, and I'm going to bring you to my family. I'm going to show you who my family is. I'm going to put you in this environment because I need you to know that I'm serious about you. That's how I showed it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I did.
Yeah, I think the biggest part there was that we just started communicating so much more openly, and I knew how he felt about things as opposed to him just breezing over the fact. And he knew how I felt about things because I hated having uncomfortable conversations.
Yep.
And so I think once we started to do that, our trust began to deepen, our relationship began to strengthen, and we rebuilt our relationship, I feel like, on a lot better values than when we had our first go around. Don't you think?
Big time. I think we were just children back then too, so that plays a big part into it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was very young when we started dating.
Yeah. So
a child. No, I'm just kidding.
A child. But guys, thank you so much for being here on episode 100. If you were around for episode 1, I would love to know, because that would be crazy. I know there's at least one of you out there. So I'm very, very excited that we've made it this far. This is just the beginning, guys. If you don't know how YouTube or Spotify or all these things work, is you're not legit till you get to 100. Like it's just you learn so much to get to 100, and this is, guys, just the beginning. We have so much coming up this year that we cannot wait to share with you guys. So,
Truly.
a reminder, make sure you go to www.halfpastjob.com, and that is where you submit your stories and questions.
Yeah.
Half Past Crew, we love you. Thank you for your support. And as always, we'll see you next Monday at Half Past Job.
Thank you, everybody.
Woo, that was a hard episode. Oh, my butt's sweaty.
Oh, you got some swass?
I got some swass.
Baby, you know our window's open. As he announces, I got swass to our entire neighborhood. That was hard. That was...
very hard episode. I don't know how I made it through, but we did it. That's all I have to say.
I know, I'm proud of you. We did that. Good job. We're not even like reading it to like live people, you know what I mean? Like it's just us and we're getting emotional. Emotional damage.